discuss various interesting topics and take a look at the current happenings on our island and in our region. Just before you go to bed, let's touch on the points with your host, Connie JE, right here on Flashpoint Radio. Join me this and every Tuesday as we discuss. Join me this and every Tuesday at 7 to 8:30 p.m. as we discuss various interesting topics and take a look at the current happenings on our island and in our region. Just before you go to bed, let's touch on the points with your host, Connie JE, right here on Flashpoint Radio. Join me this and every Tuesday at 7 to 8:30 p.m. as we discuss various interesting topics and take a look at the current happenings on our island and in our region. Just before you go to bed, let's touch on the points with your host, Connie JE, right here on Flashpoint Radio. For those of you around the world that's listening, uh, here's the invitation. Come on down, fly in, boat on in. Hey, if you can take a magic carpet ride and get yourself here, feel free to come on down. We will, welcome you. We are waiting for you. And if you want to come on in studios, hey, it's even more fun that way. I look forward to meeting all of you. To all my new followers on Instagram and my TikTok pages and Flashpoint Media page. I just want to say welcome to you. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I'm hoping that everybody will be sharing and liking. Absolutely. If you haven't done that yet, I'll give you this time, this opportunity to just do that. So just go on Flashpoint Media's link, or just before you go to your bed, subscribe, share, and like. Yes, indeed. And of course, if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave them in our inbox, and I will revert to you if there are any ideas that you may have that you would like to see us do on the show just before you go to your bed. Send your suggestions and we'll look into it and absolutely will revert, and we'll try to tailor them so that we can have a great, great conversation. Because guess what? Here at Just Before You Go to Your Bed, we're keeping it real. We're talking about things that are current, things that are hot, that what's happening and what's relevant. And that's what we talk about here. It's uncut. It is just live, it's just it's just right now, the pot, season it in. And as we talk about pot and season it in, it's mango season. Yes, indeed. Mango time. And for those of you who may not know, East Indian are my favorite. Yes, indeed. And then, the Julie after, and the Nam Duck, and Black yeah, and them. Everything there. But the East Indian. So, the listeners out there, you know how to please Connie JE. Bring the bag of mango there. All of my listeners. Yeah, here and throw my videos. Else. In advance. Where are we located? Bags of mangoes to me, all you local farmers, you. Mm, absolutely 269. Well, I see myself I win the war. I see where my siblings will just have to give in and crown me queen of the mango season. of you right here at home in the Cayman Islands, right across the world. So much for tuning in. Yes, indeed. Breezeville Rent-A-Car blow their amazing affordable deals your way. Cars of all sizes with weekly, monthly, along with daily rentals of $25 per day. They're reliable, dependable, with friendly staff, free pickup and delivery. You can't get it any better than this. Call us at 936-1177 and allow Breezeville Rent-A-Car to blow the wind of hassle on its way. Breezeville Rent-A-Car. It's a breeze of a deal. Conditions apply.
Looking to build your dream home or renovate your space? M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, if you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509.
Where shall I go from thy spirit? Or where should I flee from thy presence? If I ascend into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the utmost parts of the sea, even there thy hand shall lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. Prophet.
Anywhere I go, you are right beside me. Anywhere I go, you are there to hold me. Anywhere I go, you are right beside me. Anywhere I go, you are there to hold me. If I make my bed in hell, you are right beside me. But when I lay my head down, God, you lay right beside me. After all that I did, you tell me you still love me. But when I run and hide away, you always come and find me. Anywhere I go, you are right beside me. Anywhere I go, you are there to hold me. Anywhere I go, you are right beside me. Anywhere I go, you are there to hold me.
Anywhere I go, I can feel you close. And this I know, my God never lose. And even if I choose to refuse, it will still conclude. God, you are there. Even if I make my bed in hell, God, you are there. Even if I climb the highest hills, God, you are there. It's funny how you never leave, even when I didn't believe that you stick by me. The scriptures and Psalms run deep. You are light to my path and a lamp unto my feet.
Anywhere I go, you are right beside me. Anywhere I go, you are there to hold me. Anywhere I go, you are right beside me. Anywhere I go, you are there to hold me. Anywhere I go, anywhere
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Join me this and every Tuesday at 7 to 8:30 p.m. as we discuss various. Yes. So welcome back to Just Before You Got Your Bed. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We'll be talking a little bit about, the effects and overcoming learning. And I find that there are so many people tend not to relate. Some people, they may not even know that they are experiencing a learning disorder. And also that persons with learning disorder may experience as well anxiety and depression. And sometimes you just cannot put your finger as to why this is happening to you, what's happening. Sometimes you feel alone and you wonder to yourself, why me can't learn? Why is it hard for me to learn? Or the book them just not work out. And sometimes as parents we say, well, the child now cope at school and the book thing now do, so let's find one trade. You know what I mean? We tend to find a plan B because we are not able to identify already what our issues are. So tonight on Just Before You Got Your Bed, we will be touching on these. We'll be talking about the different types of learning disorders. We are talking about the early telltale signs, how to identify them. We'll also talk about overcoming these learning disorders, and of course, during that treatment, that move to overcome this, where does God fall into it, and what does God say about learning? And so tonight, that's what we'll be touching on. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to just type away. Log on, go ahead, put your questions in there, anything at all if you know somebody. And of course, even we'll be giving you advice on the resources that are available right here in the Cayman Islands, where is one of the best places, one of the best teams on the island to offer you resources, assistance, and even to diagnose as well, if you do have one of these. My guest tonight is none other than Mrs. Sofia Hamilton. And I've known Sofia for over 20 years. Mind you, Don't go in on my business because me done already telling you say, me find up on my birth certificate I'm only 30. I'm only 30 years old, eh? But I've known Sofia for over 20 years, and she's such a dynamic and amazing woman. And Sofia is a licensed educational psychologist with over 20 years of experience in education and over 4 years in psychology. So she knows what she's talking about. Mrs. Hamilton holds a master's degree in psychology with an emphasis in educational psychology and is currently pursuing her doctorate or PhD in counseling psychology. She has worked with a cross section of learners from early years to adult learners. So adults don't think that you are exempt, that learning disorders are only towards children. We all face some issues that can be overcome, and she will guide us through that tonight. The words of George Evans: every student can learn, just not on the same day or in the same way, fuels Sofia, fuels her passion to create better learning opportunities for learners of all ages. And she has special interest in working with exceptional learners, including the gifted, like myself, and talented. Those with learning and thinking differences, such as dyslexia, dysgraphia, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, ADHD, and so much more. Also, learners on the autism spectrum and other neurodivergent individuals. And I'll let you know, she is a certified peers facilitator, facilitating and specializing in social skills training for young adults and children. Additionally, Sofia shares psychological tips and coping strategies to assist family members and students with various mental, emotional, and social challenges during her speaking engagements and, yes, her weekly radio show. That's right, Psychologically Speaking, which airs on Praise 87.9 FM on Wednesdays at 7:30 a.m. She comes well learned. God has gifted her with this skill so that his children will not be bombarded by the wiles of the enemy, but we will overcome any obstacles together. Stay tuned when we come back after this commercial break. I will be talking to none other than Mrs. Sofia Hamilton.
For great food, great deals, and a great cause? Then don't miss the car boot sale and fish fry hosted by the Ebenezer Seventh day Adventist Church, happening Wednesday, April 30 from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the airport park. Enjoy mouth-watering fish and other tasty treats, plus browse a wide range of household items, clothes, books, and more, all at unbeatable prices. Best of all, every purchase supports the Manna Foundation, bringing hope and help to those in need. That's Wednesday, April 30 from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the airport park. Come early, bring a friend, and be a blessing while you shop and eat. Join us, the Ebenezer Seventh day Adventist Church, where faith meets community.
Need it fast, need it quick? Then let Breezemill Rent a Car blow their amazing affordable deals your way. Cars of all sizes with weekly, monthly, along with daily rentals of $25 per day. They're reliable, dependable, with friendly staff, free pickup and delivery. You can't get it any better than this. Call us at 936-1177 and allow Breezeville Rent a Car to blow the wind of hassle on its way. Breezeville Rent a Car. It's a breeze of a deal. Conditions apply. Join me this and every Tuesday at 7 to 8:30 p.m. as we discuss various interesting topics. Yes, welcome back to Just Before You Got Your Bed. Tonight, we're talking about the effects and overcoming learning disorders. With me tonight is none other than Mrs. Sofia Hamilton, licensed educational psychologist. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in. I know that many persons sometimes even berate themselves. They have challenges and they can't understand why. They were never able to, put a finger on it. Sometimes parents as well, they're baffled. They'll pay for extra classes. They're doing all of these things, and yet somehow there is just this wall. There is a block. So let's start at the beginning then, right? What exactly are learning disorders?
Well, if I can just backtrack a little and speak to what you started with. So, I consider myself someone who had challenges.
Oh, yeah.
I remember those mornings when I had to sit up and I would get those beatings to get those work done. So I can identify with someone who has learning challenges. And so that drives me. As the quote said, every child can learn. Just not in the same way and on the same day, but they'll eventually get it. And do you know that when they get it, it is there, it stays there. So I really enjoy working with neurodivergent individuals because I can identify with them. Additionally, learning disorders, as we said, they're just differences. It doesn't mean that there's a weakness.
Okay.
Right? It just means that the strategies that we would need to employ might be a little bit different. And so these differences, they are okay. We are all unique. God made us special.
Yes, you do.
So don't see them as a deficit. Use the strengths and build on those areas that you're not so good at. And you know what? We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. So it's okay.
So I guess then when I used to have this anxiety when it came to maths. Oh my gosh, I don't want my uncle call me and ask about no homework. And his thing was the homework must be done before he came home. And then when he got home, I had to redo it. And I could never understand the logic in that. But as I got older, I realized, practice becomes perfect. But I could not
And
get
I
that
don't
maths down.
subscribe to that one, No, I say practice gets better. There's always room for improvement.
Always room for improvement.
And we grow each day. Yes.
And so I can only imagine back then, persons not being able to identify this as a disorder, or we weren't cognizant of these issues. This is a pitney just bad.
Just don't.
And him don't. And he head tough. So we are go broke it in and him are go learn.
Yes.
So now, what is the difference now? What differs now from just struggling with a subject like math or reading versus knowing you have a disorder?
Well, it can be liberating. So I've worked with persons who they'd usually start with an assessment. So we call it a psychoeducational assessment.
Okay.
And we do a gamut of psychological evaluations, testing that tells us what are the challenges. Because usually there's a challenge why they start out on the journey in the first place.
Yeah.
And we can tell what the learning disorders are. And sometimes we have gifted persons who are struggling in the classroom because maybe they're bored, they're not being challenged. And so we can also guide the teachers, educators, to see how they can best support our gifted and talented learners, as well as those who are struggling academically. So these are just neurological differences. As we said, these learning disorders, neurological differences. Your brain is just wired differently and you learn in a different way. That's basically what it's all about. So we have, as you mentioned, math. There's something called dyscalculia that you can be diagnosed with, and these are persons who have a challenge with numbers. They don't seem to have a sense of how to manipulate numbers well. They struggle with recalling math facts, and these are persons who probably have sat at the table and you have drummed the timetable into them, but they just can't seem to remember at those critical times, like when they're having their exams. Yes.
That 2x minus y equal 5.
The simultaneous equations, yes. And so, yes, we have different ones. So those who struggle with like reading, they have a language deficit, so they can't seem to decode words, or they can't seem to put the sounds together to know that k, a, t is cat. They struggle, just to put that. So it's a language-based learning disorder that they're having. And then you have dysgraphia. Those persons who have a challenge with writing, their written expression is a challenge. So it's not that they don't understand what they want to say.
They're probably better at saying it than writing.
Absolutely. Great storytellers, but they just can't seem to figure out how to get it all on the paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
For it to sound like, it's in your mind.
Exactly.
So,
so that's those with dysgraphia. And sometimes they're the ones who you'll see have like messy handwriting. They just can't seem to get the letters to sit on the line, and it's all black and yes. So then you have the auditory processing disorder. That's a condition where the brain struggles to interpret and process sounds correctly. And there's nothing wrong with the hearing. It's just that what they are hearing and what they're able to interpret is a challenge. But when you check the hearing, it's fine. Yes. And you have the visual processing disorder, where the brain has difficulty making sense of visual stimulus or stimuli, but it's not because they have a vision problem. It's just that their perception of what they're seeing is skewed. So those are just a few.
So
we have quite a bit.
Backwards then, or
somewhat similar to dyslexia as well. They will interpret a 6 for a 9 and vice versa, or a P for a Q or a B for a D, sort of thing. So there are some similarities in terms of the language base with the visual processing disorder and the dyslexia, and with the dysgraphia and the it's the visual with the dysgraphia, the visual motor, and the dyslexia with the auditory, the hearing.
Got you. So what are the signs that parents can find or identify with their children?
Oh, wow. So let's start at dyslexia. This is the one with the difficulty with reading. So they do letter reversals, as we said before, the B's and the D's. They avoid reading aloud because it's so difficult for them. So they have what we call poor phonemic awareness. So they, we interpret words through the sounds that the letter or the letters make. So they have a challenge decoding that. And that is fundamental to reading,
Of
right?
course, of course.
So they can't blend the words to get the sounds together to make the word, or they have a challenge breaking down the word into individual sounds. Then that's a person who, when you say to them, um, what's the initial sound or the beginning sound in the word dog? That person will struggle to say D, while a typical child would
That's a
know
say
that's
D.
D, right? So for adults, they read slowly. It's very laborious. They struggle with comprehension, and they are the ones who will avoid tasks that includes writing and
Of
reading.
course, yes.
So they shy away from that. So because of the shame and the guilt that's
Of course,
associated
yes,
with
yes.
their challenge. So you want to help them as best as you can by certain structured phonetic reading programs that are available, and one of them is the Orton Gillam. Then you have the Wilson and the Barton. They're very strategic and focused in developing phonological skills or phonetic skills so that they can do these things as breaking the word. So I could say to them, k, a, t, and I just get you to mirror that, and we practice k, a, then we go ka, cat, until they're able to
say it.
reproduce the sounds. And you just practice those kind of sounds. Reading daily also helps them, because then it creates a new pathway in the brain so that they can begin to read with fluency. Doing decoding task, so simple sounding out of the words, putting the sounds together to make the words, segmenting the sounds to get the spelling in place, because they do struggle with that. So they also struggle with getting their ideas down on the paper as well. So similar to the dysgraphia, and you can use like graphic organizers to help them. So you know those little boxes on the paper, and you can say, okay, today we are going to work on your opening sentence for your introduction. And you create that nice opening sentence, and then you build from there. And when they have mastered the introduction, then you go to the first paragraph, and you build from there until they have gotten the entire essay.
Oh, got you, got you.
And it's very important not to rush them,
That's
because
what I
they're
was
going
going
to
to
work
ask.
slowly.
Yeah.
So just be patient and just allow them.
Consistency.
Yes.
You just have to be consistent, because I'm sure that anxiety, because when I was looking at some of the statistics, was that anxiety and depression, comes along with these, because when you know that teacher or the parent wants you to read, wants you to write this thing, wants you to express yourself, you're having issue with the B, the D, I'm not sure which one it is, then that anxiety comes in, and you
yes.
said earlier also the shame that's associated with that. Now, are learning disorders something that people are born with, or does it develop over time?
So usually, yes, they're born with these differences, because
Okay.
their brain is just wired in a different
Different way,
way.
okay.
It can be that when you, if the parent is stressed, went through very stressful, was very sickly during pregnancy, that can put on a lot of stress on the mother, and that tension can create some of those neurological differences.
Interesting.
It can be nature, it can be nurture, it can be genetic. I might have dyslexia, and it passes down to my children. It can be that the child was born prematurely and the brain did not develop well. So over time, these differences are developed. It can be a hormonal imbalance. So there are several things that can feed into yes.
that. How interesting it is, because now as you say that, I'm relating it to a plant. If it's not put in good soil, if it's not watered, cared for, get proper sunlight and all of these things, the plant will die, it will struggle, and so forth. and you
You
look
come
at
under a
the
lot of stress.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so when the leaves are supposed to be green, it's brown, but yet there's life in it, but it's struggling. So I'm looking on this disorder that hey, even from in the mother's womb, the stress, whatever, all of these will
Yes,
impact the child, this individual that is coming later,
absolutely.
even in their learning.
Yes, and that is why when you're getting the prenatal care, your doctor will say to you, please just take it easy.
Easy.
Don't get stressed, overly exhausted, and they'll say like to the husbands, make life as easy
Easy
and as
as possible.
pleasant as
Yes,
possible.
of course, of
And there's
course.
good reason. It's not that
Yeah.
you're being pampered unnecessarily, but for the neurological development of the mother, which translates to that of the child, it's very, very important.
It's true, I get you. And then here you go again, that you bring something up that the master designer has set something in place for whole well-being. It's
Yes.
not mom alone,
No.
but it's both parents together from the beginning right through the process. So if we keep to the blueprint, ah, how,
And that community support is so important as well.
as well,
Those family
indeed.
members
Yes.
lending their support, because sometimes it takes more than two, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child,
That's
and that
true.
is so important. That community, whether from your faith or just from your other social groups, they're very, very important.
Of course, I agree. So I wanted to find out, we touched on it on a little bit, but I want to ask again. How do I identify if my child or my partner is having one of these learning disorders? Because even as an adult, even if I can identify it with myself, because you may find yourself struggling with certain things, like you said, I would rather say it verbally than actually writing it down, and others vice versa. How do I identify that in myself, my partner, or child? How do I say, something is off here? Let me grab them and let me go to almost doctor, because you will be in a little bit. Let me carry him or her to Dr. Hamilton and let's diagnose. What are some of the things that I can look out for?
Okay, so in general, each of them have a different set of signs and symptoms, right? So for the dyslexia, as we said, that's a language-based deficiency or disorder. So that has to do with the reading, how
Right.
you produce the sounds. Are you able to, hear the sounds and to mirror them? Put the sounds together to make a word. So that's basically how you'll know that, hey, something is not quite right. The child can't, you say cat, give me a word that rhymes with cat, and they are unable to produce a rhyming word. That's a cause for concern.
Ah,
Yes.
gotcha.
They're unable to, as we said, segment the words to say that k, a, t,
Pronounce.
cat.
Yeah.
and d, o, g is dog. So they can't break the word apart or blend them to make the word, blend the sounds to make the word. Then you have those who are having challenges like, they can't manipulate a scissors, or they can't hold something in their hand to feed themselves. It keeps falling, so they have that grasp challenge with a grasp. That's also something that you want to explore some more.
Okay, yes.
A child who struggles with learning numbers, anything that has to do with numbers, they're not getting it.
Just
They,
lock.
they have a challenge counting, so they skip count and they are going from 15 to 20. And each time you say to them, no, it's 15, 16,
16,
17, and they just can't seem to get it. They have a challenge telling time, and this is something that has been explicitly taught to them. Yes, we do know that the concept of time, it takes some time to learn. It is one of those concepts that needs a little bit more of maturity. But if after a while you're seeing that your 8-year-old can't tell time, that is something worth investigating.
Okay, got you.
So difficulty with understanding math concepts, not being able to memorize and recite or manipulate and use the timetable despite several hours of practice. And I mean, you have been really working at it. And they have a problem with sequencing, knowing what's first, second, and third, and so on. That is also something that can be looking like dyscalculia. Something that has to do with a deficiency with math.
Okay.
Something that is also called math calcula.
Yeah.
You know, math dyslexia.
Okay. So I want to find out, Mrs. Hamilton, when we come back, we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, I want to find out what it looks like. We talk about the children, but I want to talk about what it looks like. If you can describe it for me so I can, what it looks like for an adult that isn't diagnosed, or this person wasn't diagnosed at all. I know in adulthood, maybe just by listening or watching this show, they're now identifying certain things. What does that look like? So when we come back, we'll touch on that. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Please subscribe, like, and share. Stay tuned. Just before you go to your bed, we'll return after these commercial breaks.
Are you seeing the laptop?
Looking for great food, great deals, and a great cause? Then don't miss the car boot sale and fish fry hosted by the Ebenezer Seventh-day Adventist Church, happening Wednesday, April 30 from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the airport park. Enjoy mouth-watering fish and other tasty treats, plus browse a wide range of household items, clothes, books, and more, all at unbeatable prices. Best of all, every purchase supports the Manna Foundation, bringing hope and help to those in need. That's Wednesday, April 30 from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the airport park. Come early, bring a friend, and be a blessing while you shop and eat. Join us, the Ebenezer Seventh-day Adventist Church, where faith meets community.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. Looking to build your dream home or renovate your space? M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, if you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509.
Join me this and every planning a wedding, memorial, or office function. Let Flashpoint Media add a touch of magic to your special moments. Our professional audio services guarantee that your event is accompanied by the perfect sound, be it sweet melodies, heartfelt speeches, or the right beats to get your event going. Turn up the groove with Flashpoint Media's DJ services. From creating the perfect playlist for the event to keep the right energy, our DJs know how to read the room and ensure that the beat matches the vibes. Say goodbye to the dull moments and hello to an event that people will talk about for years to come. Why Flashpoint Media, you say? Expert podcast production, tailored audio services for events, dynamic DJ services with a diverse music library, unmatched quality and professionalism, your sonic signature every time. Have a message to share? Advertise with us. Don't just hear the difference. Feel the difference. Join the Flashpoint Media revolution and let us turn your audiovisual dreams into reality. Call us now at 345-927-7509 or visit us at Suite 14A, Plaza Venetia, Grand Cayman. Come ignite your journey with Flashpoint Media. Your heirs will finally thank you.
Paper not showing. Okay. I'm here myself.
Join me this and welcome back to Just Before You Got Your Bed. Your girl Connie JE in studios with Mrs. Sofia Hamilton. And, we're here talking about the effects and overcoming learning disorders. We have touched on the different types. how to identify them in children. And of course, we talk about the stigma that comes with that and how it also produces mental disorder as well, talking about depression and anxiety. Now, before the break, we wanted to touch on, Miss Hamilton, what does it look like when someone isn't diagnosed until adulthood, and how might learning disorder manifest differently for an adult versus a child?
Sometimes it's similar. Sometimes it's similar. The only thing is that the setting is different. Sometimes, the school with the
Yes.
child versus a workplace for the adult. And for example, with the dyscalculia, the child struggles with math facts. The adult will struggle with math facts as well. So they're the ones who can't do the quick calculation in the head. And so they struggle with anything that has to do with maths concepts, including budgeting. Something like, balancing your budget, they will struggle with that as well. They can struggle with following instruction. So, like some of us who are directionally challenged, we don't know our left from our right, or we don't know north different from west, and we can't read a map. So, yeah, that's some of the signs and symptoms of dyscalculia.
Oh wow! So I can only imagine being on a road trip or say going to the U.S. and have to.
Thank God for Google Maps.
Oh, I tell you. So I can only imagine the struggles that we had then. So I'm assuming then that being undiagnosed for an adult really affects relationships.
Absolutely, yes.
And it's gonna affect it in so many different ways, because now, if let's say for argument's sake it's for the man who is leader in the home, either he's going to be more aggressive because putting up walls, you're afraid that anxiety comes in. For the woman, that depression, you probably even berate yourself or you get berated. Even your dream job, probably you're afraid to go for it, afraid of interviews, because you have this thing that you're hiding, is undiagnosed, or maybe you even have an idea of what it is, but you're afraid to get help, or you don't know where to go,
Or for wanting anyone to find out.
or want to find out too. So how does that impact self-esteem?
Negatively. Yes, because when we get to a place where we see these deficits as challenges and problematic, and people will say negative things about your inabilities, then you can internalize them, and that we are prone to be negative and to criticize ourselves harshly.
Yes.
And so that can lead to poor self-esteem. It can lead to anxiety, as we've said before, depression. It can lead to a lot of guilt and shame on the part of the parent as well, of some of these children in relationships. It can be very problematic. You really need, when you recognize that you have these challenges, you really need a supportive spouse, whether wife or husband,
yes,
to support you. So, for example, for someone who is directionally challenged, and you're telling them where to go, but they just can't seem to comprehend, instead of saying to that person, "You mean to say you can't understand what I'm saying? You go down the road and you just turn right at Foster's and you'll see the parking space, but right across the..." Once it gets to multi-step instruction, some people are lost. And so It might just need a little creativity for you to just draw a map.
So-
Because these persons tend to be very visual.
Yes, because
So-
it's no more what I see and what I'm comfortable with. Once I see it, I know it. Boom.
Yes.
There's no.
So they are highly visual. So find ways, find strategies that lends itself to that. So
visually.
giving them landmarks that they know will help them to be able to appreciate. So a general map that's printed, too many, it's too cluttered. There's too much information. But just simplifying that with landmarks that they know, then that makes it much easier, more accessible for them.
So you talked earlier about testing and some of the things that you would test for a child. Now, what does it actually involve for an adult now if you're testing and diagnosing them?
Well, it's a similar process
Similar.
whether it's
It's
a
the
child
same
or an
with
adult,
adults,
yes. Because the learning disorders are the same.
Yeah.
They manifest differently in some areas, but yes.
So would it be harder for the adult? Because I'm just saying for a child, they're still fresh, they're still young, the tree is bendable, versus me, you know, when the tree done all, you can't bend it again, so you probably have to go, you know, chip out your
piece of
saw.
So the thing is, for the assessment, it's a similar process whether you're young or old. The strategies are what differs, right? So for the learning environment, for a classroom setting, might look a little bit different from a workplace environment, right? The support might be different. But the assessment is similar. We generally start, whether adult or child, no matter if you're 99, by gathering some history on the person. We want to look at your medical history. What happened at birth? Did you have a C-section, long labor? Was it induced? Was it premature delivery or anything like that? What about the Apgar score? Was it okay? Did the child go into distress for one reason or another? We look at all of that. We also look at the different family background. Did your family have any predisposing medical problems like diabetes or hypertension? We look at everything like that. What is the dynamic, the family dynamics at home? Is it a single parent family? Or is dad there as well as mom, but they are busy? What about the support that's offered for the child? So we want to know if it's really a disorder or if it's just something that can be supported, and with the proper intervention, academic intervention, the child can do better. So maybe they're being
So maybe it's not
neglected
just
also.
a disorder, but maybe just a like a shed off, if I can use that word, of an emotional distress then.
Could be.
Could be.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So that is why we look at both the academics, their IQ, we look at their attainment, what is it that they're able to do at their age compared to their peers at the same age. Are they performing above or below or on average? And then we also look at the social, emotional, developmental side of things. So we do testing to see if their developmental milestones were met as same as other children, were there delays, and how are they socially? Do they interact well with children their age, or older persons, or younger persons, etc. We look at everything.
Yes. And then so it could then be that for an adult, trauma as well, a child or as a teenager can also impact this, right?
Yes, yes.
Would trauma, like an identifier trauma, like if I know, okay, if I hear someone shout or if I hear a car brake, I had gotten hit, you know, run over by a car, whatever it is.
Right.
And so triggers. So if I hear a particular sound or I see something, that can also trigger that as well. So
It can trigger you emotionally, yes,
right.
psychologically you have a challenge, but not for a learning disorder. Yes, that's a little bit different. That's neurological. So it can That is something that, as we explained how you can get it before, yes, it's a little bit different, but that would be more of an emotional challenge that you're having.
So for a child or an adult,
But it can impact their academic performance, right?
That's what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
in
that's
that
how-
way,
that's what I was
yes,
looking at that.
because a child who has suffered trauma can start to shut down and become socially withdrawn and so on. So it can affect their academics. I see where you are going with that.
I was thinking as well
The
as
impact.
also an adult.
Yes.
Maybe this is why they didn't reach the full potential that they could, because I know you're thinking, oh, it's a disorder, but it's actually not a disorder, but it's
It impacted their academic
impacted.
performance. Yes.
So for a child or adult now that's say diagnosed now with ADHD and so forth, how does that differ from the rest, like dyslexia, dysgraphia? How is that different?
Okay, so there are similarities because ADHD is also a neurological disorder.
Okay.
All right. Now, with the ADHD, there are different presentations. So it can be hyperactive, impulsive, it can be inattentive, or it can be combined, where you have all three inattention with the hyperactivity and impulsive. And that one, it can be quite distressing for this learner, whether adult or child. Yes, because this is somebody who will struggle academically in the learning environment, not because they are below average in their IQ or intelligence, right? But because sometimes if they're having the inattentive presentation, they just can't seem to focus. They are daydreaming when the teacher is talking. They are in and out of attention, paying attention to what they should be doing. They should be working independently, but they are not. So we generally say like the body is there, but the mind is not. Right. With the hyperactive, impulsive, they are the ones who will be wanting to get up and move around, touch the other child, play with the pencil. Then the pencil falls to the floor and they're under the desk and all, a lot of movements, not necessarily running around, although some of them do, but just wanting to shift uncomfort. And this is how it looks in the adult now. It's the person who is drumming their fingers, seeming to be impatient, or shaking their legs, or shifting uncomfortably in the seat, because they just have this urge to move. They're very restless.
Oh my.
So yes, it does impact their learning because of the inattention and the hyperactive. So in both instances, they are unable to focus on what they should be.
To be able to grasp, yes. So for them, how do we tailor their learning?
Okay, so for the inattentive person, whether adult or child, you want to keep them engaged. You want to redirect. So let's say Connie is supposed to be writing the essay, but you notice that she only has 2 lines on the page. And so you go over and you see, ask her, how are you getting on? And you engage the person and try to get them to speak to what their challenge is. Sometimes they do have a challenge initiating the task, getting started. They just can't seem to decide what word to use, and it is just such a big challenge. It's so huge for them. So you want to probably give some sentence starters to suggest, this is one way, and you don't have to stand there and dictate all of this, but you could simply supply them with a list of these starters, some words that they could use to get started. They also have a challenge focusing, maintaining focus, working in a focused way. So you're going to have to do some room circulation, and every now and then you come and you check and make sure that Connie is doing her work, and if she needs any help, so that she can maintain that task.
So for the adult that's at Lion Center at a crusade or a convention, who is just dying to move, what do they do? Are there little tricks that adults that have that need, that desire to just move, so they look impatient. What do they do? What does Connie do?
Well, Connie will have to retrain her mind
Ah.
to know that, it's not always appropriate to get up and move. But also know that it is important to move at appropriate times. It does become necessary. So you take a walk and you come back and you distract yourself with some thing that you make sure you look for the scripture reading and stuff like that. You get engaged. You get involved in what you're doing. For some persons, it might mean taking notes so that you get your mind off that need to move. So when the preacher says a very valuable point, you make sure you write it down and you recite it to yourself and you share it with your neighbor. Did you get that? Yes. So you sort of just get engaged with what you're doing. For some persons who have a challenge maintaining, they find it very difficult. They procrastinate quite a bit as adult ADHD learners or workers, employees. And so you want to lend support in terms of checking in with them. How's that project going, Connie? I noticed that you're halfway there. Is it okay? Do you have any challenges? How can I best support you? So you have to do a report. That is such a daunting task for someone with ADHD. So you may guide them, support them, let them know, okay, so, we have this meeting coming up. So there's a deadline in which we have to send out the report or the email. So I'll make sure to check in with you on Thursday. How does that sound?
Right.
Yeah? Okay. I'll see you on Thursday then. And if you're having any trouble, feel free to check in with me.
So procrastination is also a part of the...
Very much so, because of the low executive function, which has to do with planning, organizing, initiation. All of these are a challenge for someone with ADHD. Yes.
Me, I want any ADHD.
Come and see me and do your assessment.
Right. So, I find like we were talking about, what are some of the things that you could do to distract yourself? Because obviously we want to distract ourselves, especially for those who feel the impulse to move. And of course, sometimes it's not appropriate.
Right.
And you were saying, take notes, find a list. You want to do something that's appropriate and distracting. Are there other tools like that we can use? Like, now we are so tech savvy, tech run the world.
Yes.
Do we have tech tools for children? Because I do know we don't want them to have too much screen time as well. But are there any tech tools that can aid an adult or child with any learning disorder?
Absolutely. So for those who are having a challenge reading, and you can't always be there, because a good strategy for the dyslexia is to just be there to support, read along with them. So you can do alternate paragraphs or alternate sentences if it's really, really a challenge for them. And you read one sentence and I read another one, and so on. But for some persons who are very busy, they may find it better, or at times, I wouldn't say just leave it up to the assistive technology, because you need that time to bond as well, right? But you may find it necessary to use like reading apps, where they can press the button on the device or on the platform, the software, so that it reads the book for them. So in that way, they are developing their phonemic awareness, because they are going to recognize their sight word, they're building their vocabulary and stuff like that. So they can say, oh, so it's dog, dog, those discoveries are so important. You can also, for those who have dysgraphia, and they find it very hard to write, it's a very laborious process, painful. So we try to do train the fine motors in the arm, you know. So we can play with putty and Play-Doh, and we can do buttoning and zipping, all of those the early childhood skills that we had to do. You see how very important they are? Yes, it helps to train our fine motor development so we can write well. Well, sometimes when we have to do exams, and you know, those 3-hour exams, 2.5-hour exams, and you have to write these essays, sometimes it becomes necessary to train persons to do typing on devices so that they can type instead of write. And sometimes it does become necessary to get a writer, a scribe. So for exams, when you're assessed, if they see that you are diagnosed and you really, really can't write for that period of time, you have very bad dysgraphia, then they can assign someone to write for you. Dyslexia, they can assign someone to read for you. So those are some of the accommodations.
We never had that.
In terms of the dyscalculia, you can use a calculator. So as adults, we do that, and you can use other technology for your executive function. You set alarms, you can use planners, virtual planners and calendars, and just get your
self-organized.
Yes, because structure and routine is so very important when you have a learning disorder.
Yes, I feel that as well. So do we offer training for parents to be able to, because let's say, you know, we bring our children to you, or the resources at school to assist, but when the child comes home, it's a different environment.
Right.
If we identify a child with this disorder, do we offer training for the parents to be able to keep the consistency going, to be able to understand, for them to de-stress as well, and how to offer support?
And that is such a very important question that you're asking. And yes, we do. So after we do the psychoeducational assessment and we see these learning disorders, then the report will outline recommendations that they can use at home and at school. They create an IEP, an individualized educational plan for the child, and it can be also exhibit itself behaviorally for those who are having behavioral challenges, right? So we can do a behavioral plan for that. So yes, when you do the psychoeducational assessment, it does assist the parents to know how to support the children at home. And what I find though is that some of the parents they're not really interested in learning about that. They think it's more of a school thing. And so when the child comes home, all the routines and structure and skills that you have worked with at school just goes out the window. And I want to encourage our parents to model the structure and routine that's done at school at home. It will make life so much easier for you, because that consistency and structure helps to regulate your child. It creates that like they know what comes next. And so it decreases the anxiety that's associated with these learning challenges.
Absolutely.
So yes, get yourself educated, and when you're invited to participate in programs, because once the educational assessment is done, the psychoeducational assessment is done rather, then we teach you. We talk you through, we practice with you, and we get you prepared to support your child as best as possible.
Absolutely.
That's what we call psychoeducation.
So if there's one thing that you wish people to understand better about learning disorder, what would that be?
I have several. Only one?
Well, give them then. Give them.
Okay, so the first thing I want us to remember is that a learning disorder is not a weakness. It's not a sign of weakness. Actually, they are strengths. A lot of us who consider ourselves neurotypical are going to be out, we're going to find ourselves in a challenging place with the onset of these AIs, because what we can do, any AI tool can do. The neurodivergent person, these are the persons with your dyslexia, your autism, your ADHD. These are the persons who are very creative and are our problem solvers. And actually, they're the ones creating the AI.
I was just about to say
You know?
that.
And
Yes.
so they are the ones who are going to be in demand because they are able to fix the AI, number one, and they are going to be the ones who can think outside the box and
edit that thing too,
exactly
and advance it.
So I really, really see them as a treasure. And I've always said, you know, whenever I'm in a group, I always want neurodivergent persons on my group. Because those autistic persons, those persons with ADHD, those dyslexic persons, they are the ones who can visualize the solution before we even figure out what the problem is. So, yeah.
That's quite interesting.
Don't put them aside. They're very valuable and they can contribute quite a bit. We need to maximize their strengths. As the saying goes, every child can learn. And I mean that so much. Every child can learn.
Absolutely.
Just not on the same day.
Not the same way.
And not in the same way,
way,
right? And what I want us to understand is that it is very challenging. Yes, it's very challenging to rear children or to be a person with a learning disorder, right? But with God, all things are possible. He is our source of comfort and strength, and on those days when it gets very overwhelming, we can remember what he said to Joshua in Joshua 1 verse 9. He said, I will be with you wherever you go. So whatever challenges you are faced with, he has already gone ahead and prepared the way.
Exactly.
So we have nothing to fear except we forget how he has led us in the past.
That's right.
And although we tend to say that, you know, learning disorders are things that are lifelong, God still does miracles.
Oh, yes, he does.
And I've seen some real changes take place in persons that I have worked with and others I've worked with who have learning disorders, who are neurologically divergent learners, adults and children, who have made such great gains and are functioning quite well. They have adapted quite well and are flourishing. So, yeah.
So you answered my question basically, because I was going to say now in the treatment of adults and children,
Yes.
where does God fall into your treatment in overcoming learning disorders? And as you touched on it, you know, we have to remember that if we don't remember where he brought us from, then we won't understand. And then if we don't remind ourselves of the truth that you are never left alone,
Absolutely.
and that you, on the bad days, he is there. When you think you're alone, he's actually carrying you. But do
Definitely.
you ensure, is it part of your structure to ensure that in giving the tools and the training to maneuver with this learning disorder, God is injected into?
Absolutely. Once the person is a person of faith, then we do that. We do incorporate our faith into our therapeutic process. There are some persons who are not faith. They don't have a faith-based. They don't have a religion, or they don't believe in God, or so. And we allow them that space.
Of course, yes.
We still do therapy. So yes, some of the therapeutic intervention may include counseling, psychotherapy. It may include medication. That's where your psychiatrist comes in.
Right,
Yes.
right.
And it may include, as we said before, psychoeducation. So we educate you on what the disorder is, what are the symptoms and the signs. We teach you the skills so you can cope better. And we know that, you know, with that partnership with the school, with the your multidisciplinary team, which can be a psychiatrist, your psychologist, your, you know, persons who are there with your family member to support you and all of that, then we have had great success. For the workplace, we work with persons who have these learning challenges and they are adults and in their jobs. And so we work through like your HR manager and we support you so that you can get the accommodations in the workplace as well.
Oh, that's lovely.
And we've had quite a number of successful support groups going.
So tell my listening audience, where is one of the best places in Grand Cayman to find these resources, these persons who are able to assist you, if you are maneuvering this arena.
Okay, it gives me absolute pleasure to let you know that these services and more, anything psychological, can be accessed at the Institute for Essential Care. And we have a very dynamic and diverse, well experienced, if I should add up everything, we probably have over 50 years of experience among us. And so we have male and female clinicians. So if your preference, whatever your preference is, yes. And we have persons who are clinical psychologists, counseling psychologists, educational psychologists on board, grief counselors and all of that, so that you can get the proper care that you need. And what I really love about it, we don't just focus on the psychological and the medical interventions, but we also are a faith-based institution.
Beautiful.
So
where do I find you?
We're at 59 Mulligan Drive. That's the road that's between Priced Right and the liquor store that takes you to DHL. We are at that beautiful place called the Concord Center. Gray building with blue around the windows upstairs. So you can find us at that location, and our number is 329-6554. 329-6554.
Thank you so much.
We work with adults and children.
Yes, I probably will have to, yes. But if you bring me great gifts, I probably won't need to go to essential care. But of course, it is so good, and how God has been strategic in such a time as this, in that He has, you said you have maybe over 50 years of experience. Yes. How God has been so good to us that He has gifted you this talent and others as well. And there is one of the best places on island, so that adults, you don't have to worry. Parents, you don't have to worry if your children are faced with this. We do have persons that they are faith-based, and even if you're not, you have a secured area, yes, so that we can break through this. And what I love, Mrs. Hamilton, what you said is that the future is the fact that the autistic, the dyslexia, all of these persons, they're the one when it comes to technology. We're going to rely on them. Absolutely. We're going to need them. So a learning disorder is not a weakness, but of course a strength. It is a gift. It's yes. a talent. Yes. Because you know what, we look on words, we see clearly. Someone comes in, it's reversed, but here's a problem that needs someone to look at it in reverse to be able to set it straight. Isn't God good that even when the enemy meant it for bad, God has a great way of turning things around. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
Pleasure. My friends, I will tell you one thing, and I believe this so much, that He that started a good work in you is faithful to complete it to the end. And God doesn't mince words. I have come to learn He doesn't mince words, and He says exactly what He means, and He means exactly what He says. And there's no going around it. If you look in history, you look to your present, everything that God has said has stood still. and it has been the foundation. And we know that we have an enemy that is desirous of us not to make it to where we ought to be. It doesn't want us to go home because earth is only temporary. But the greatest thing that has been brought out tonight is that you're not alone. That God has made provisions. Every step the enemy makes, God is 10 steps ahead of him. So if you have a child that is struggling, he's not struggling because he or she's not good. They're struggling because they are gifted and they just need the right channel to, have this gift run through. Even if you're an adult and you're wondering why I can't get the thing right, why me can't get the thing good, me just the book thing. Maybe God has another way for you. And we're so glad that persons like Mrs. Hamilton, her team at the Institute of Essential Care, and others here in Grand Cayman and the Cayman Islands, is that they're here to guide you. And God will never leave you alone. So I want to take this opportunity to not be afraid. Don't allow this anxiety to grow, to block you. Don't let depression overwhelm you, to block you. Your deliverance is right here. You can start at Essential Care. Your deliverance is right here. Give us a call and we'll put you on to them if you didn't. And then of course we'll put the number and the address on screen and also in online, so you're able to make the connection. We are here for you. Flashpoint Media as well. We have our resident pastor, Pastor Marquino Farron, that is here as well to assist you. And he's also an educator. So here we have the links to get you the help. You only need to ask and step out. Well, I thank you so much for joining us this evening. So it's same place, same time. Don't go anywhere. Please subscribe, like, share. And until next time, from our family to yours, may God bless you. May He go before you. Maybe He be behind you and be beside you. May He watch over your family. And I look forward to chatting with you next week. Until then, send me the bag of mango them. If you come here, so I will keep the feet. Join me this and every Tuesday as we discuss various interesting topics and take a look at the current happenings on our island and in our region. Just before you go your bed, let's touch on the points with your host, Connie JE, right here on Flashpoint Radio.